You all started essays because I will kick out of it and answer specific arguments, and then I'll go to NA versus EPA line by line. Does that work?
Yeah.
Sweet. May I have a timer? Throw it to me. Okay. Good to go? Yeah? Okay. She says no internal link. The ability of the government to maintain the ideology of the status quo is key to their internal links. However, this is simply not true. If there is a major backlash against their plan, then this will be outweighed by the government's ability to maintain the ideology, because there will still be social ideologies in place that will still denigrate women and gut their value to life. Also, she says no evidence about the movements and abortion rights are key. However, as you can see, if the rights don't spill over, this still guts your solvency, even if it doesn't lead to a spillover of weighing back against other rights, which means that this is still, these arguments still have your solvency contention that the government will actually engage its ideology. There's no impact on progressive movements, however, it still turns the case to except the narrative evidence that there's no absolute value of autonomy. This doesn't make any sense. There's no explanation of how not having an absolute value to autonomy has any impact on the bigger backlash that happens in society against their plan. Also, she said that they don't increase judicial power, that the counterplan doesn't solve it. That was answered on the counterplan quote, not to mention that we don't use the court as a mechanism to solve abortion rights, which means that the comparison between the legislature and the court will always weigh back against. She said with some known piece of evidence, with some evidence piece of crap. Also, it's weighed back by the fact that the feminist movement has been guided by the split in interest over the abortion decision, not to mention that the poors have not been part of the coalition, not to mention the conservatives who will backlash not only on women in foreign countries having their abortion rights checked back, but also domestic countries, which means that there's propensity for a backlash. Now, I want to cite a couple pieces of evidence. First, the graver evidence that indicates that the status quo already has the potential to create meaningful abortion rights, which means that there's only a risk that the plan actually guts this. Also, the second graver evidence indicates that the backlash actually turns case because the risk of an absolute ban has a better propensity of happening because the executive can simply put this into place. Also the elitism turn on the bottom, and indicates the Herschel evidence indicates that the elites simply run to the courts to enshrine their power once they have been threatened by other groups, which you should prefer other than impact it again as a case turn, because they really do not give women any more rights. Now, this overview. First, I'm going to answer the econ defense here. She said the economy is resilient, but that's impact. But the impact of the economy is not based on the recovery to a hurricane, but rather how hurricanes are predicted, which means that climatic oscillations on the other hand will kill billions in the short term and cause a business collapse in this time. But rather than before, there should be an extended period for the oscillation type of scenario, the climate change will fly and security cleanse and air cost protection from the life of the numbers of many humans who have the dark and central oscillation could kill billions of people in the short term, and this feeds into the break with evidence indicates that this is kind of isn't an immediate stock market crash or a lack of investor confidence, which is impacted by the media evidence. And she said the U.S. economy is the key to the world. However, the U.S. economy still is the key to the world, will still collapse in the absence of the U.S. and standing out to the more than the times of the region that is the key player in the world economy, because the American economy because it represents a growing slice of the pie when you get this, because America can have a major impact on other players, which will become important on the other things. She also agrees that Nika's answer because Roberts is an active covenant. This doesn't apply because the ruling on the suicide issue that their car hospital is actually sided with the majority, which proves the opposite of what they argue. And second, there's no link between the conservative activism, which is indicated in the evidence, and the public reaction. And not to mention that this is not key to Kennedy, which is what our internal link is based on. It also extends, again, we're not going to list this out now. On to the other one. At the top, first, the impact debate. There is no way a mechanism for the affirmative impacts. The tiebreaker still to be allowed. The template doesn't link to the design, which means that negative second, the warning is quicker because the oscillation, the card that I read, indicates that can happen at any time. Not to mention the BISCON, because it's an immediate shock that's impacted by the media evidence. That also means that the magnitude is bigger than the extent of Janaki evidence, which indicates that the warming is literally key to our survival. Also, warming guts the world because there's no value to life, even in the world of warming. Not to mention the disparate impact of warming makes it worse than colonialism or slavery. We're wrestling in 2000 world materials and self-improvement. We're going to go for and social justice and development countries to get the interest compared to important world where there's a denial of the time it's come to put civilization on that trajectory. Also this turns the case because women will likely be the first to be affected by a war because of the status quo disadvantage, which means that the lowest rung of society always get impacted first by whatever happens that goes wrong. Also, answer the uniqueness now onto the Fitzpatrick evidence that says even if there is ruling that it won't help, first the U.S. action is key and will avert the impacts. Just even though the United States is leading and reducing global warming pollution, the United States is far away the worst of the worst consequences of global warming. The United States needs to stabilize emissions within decades and promote states will class of warming like regulations. New York Times knows the EPA has to provide the most important environmental issues we have mentioned. Well, wait, now that's simply not true. States will win except the Cohen evidence is more predictive than that. We should refer this. The Kennedy keys out to environmental decisions and will vote. If the states will have to have some classic reports and also the matter of the 9 to 11 July, that issue the matter of metal regulation Kennedy voted for the decision. Values for the view that high court and the voted for the recourses of law. The greenhouse gas floor assessed the final government history by striking down the Bush administration. The Bush administration stands and the states will Rosenberg and 9-3 the West of the usual environmental question now the 18 states was surprised the others with the Federation of the United States and courts. Who was split with 5-4 Robertson 12. Screw that one. And next to the states less decision however that's answered about the United States is 20% also sort of spill over worldwide. Was approved by the Dudzik evidence also she said they've already reported that this doesn't matter because this is crime evidence and they haven't made it official, which means that there hasn't been any written opinion, no effect on the impact. And she says Kennedy is voting with the conservatives have the code and evidence is better on this question. The clean water only proves the importance of Kennedy and we have the only evidence that actually proves the propensity of how people vote. Also, she said the Smith 92, this is old evidence, actually proves that Kennedy is moving toward the middle of the court and not an extreme. And she said the negative feedback check, however, the half-hour results is substantial. It's only short-term and it won't last. We're at 93 experiment, which is why control the virus more show the positive effects of CO2 will only last short-term.
Unless you want to